Hi, welcome everybody to the South Maui Transportation Town Hall. Really glad you can join us. My name is Pam Eaton and I'll be moderating tonight's town hall. I work in the County of Maui Planning Department as Division Chief for the Long Range Division. Long Range Division, LRD's primary responsibility is to update the Maui General Plan, which includes the Maui Island Plan and our community plans. I'm sure many of you know that we are currently updating the South Maui Community Plan and actively involved in community engagement. Tonight's town hall will address the issues, challenges, strategies, and possible solutions that impact South Maui transportation and mobility issues. By transportation, I'm including roads such as Piʻilani Highway, North and South Kihei roads, and all others, public transit, run by Maui Bus, other modes of mobility such as bike and pedestrian uses. Transportation is under the jurisdiction of state and county agencies. Tonight, we have representatives from the state Hawaii Department of Transportation, the County of Maui's Department of Public Works, Maui Bus, and the Maui Metropolitan Planning Organization. Before we go any further, I'd like to introduce the long range staff and I'll introduce our speakers prior to their presentation. First, the community plan update for South Maui. The project lead is Kate Blystone. Kate, can you show your beautiful face?
I'm trying to, but hello.
There's Kate. Kate's our lead, so I wanted you to meet Kate. We also have our planning supervisor, Jen Maiden, who's on tonight. And we also have Karen Komkowicz, who's helping out tonight, who's part of the long range staff. And we have Jamie Pop. So huge thanks to long range staff. I'll introduce the speakers prior to the presentation. So the Kihei Makana Community Plan is currently dated 1998. The purpose of the community plan is to direct future growth and development over a 20-year time frame. Maui County Code 2.80B provides the guidelines we must follow in terms of the process, the content, the review of the plan, and approval. The South Maui Community Plan will outline the community's vision for its future and the roadmap to basically achieve that vision through the goals, policies, and actions set forth in this plan. So how will transportation and mobility issues be addressed in the community plan? The issues will be identified in the narrative and will also provide the context for the identification of policies and implementing actions to address the impacts of the issues and the challenges. Recommendations to include future transportation systems, locations for better bike and pedestrian connectivity, pedestrian safety through complete streets, Vision Zero, and other great projects will be included. Finally, please go to our website. Posted last Friday is a technical resource paper on South Maui's transportation and mobility issues. So for everybody on the call right now, all questions, please put them in. If you're using Facebook right now, please put them in the Facebook comments. Staff will be monitoring these questions, sending them on to me so that we can ask the speakers. Or if you do not have a Facebook account, please send them to, and I believe Kate's going to put that up. Send us an email. We are South Maui at mauicounty.gov. Two other items I'd like to mention in case we lose some of you before we end tonight. Two wonderful engagement opportunities. First of all, and both are closing this Friday, Vision Workshop Part 2. We're looking for your input. Based on your input, there are 4 draft versions of the vision, which have been based on community engagement so far. We'd like to know what you like, what you don't like, what's missing, and please rank them. That's on our website. Also, for all you guys out there, 18 and under, everybody's always saying we need to involve the youth, and we've tried very hard. We have something called Dream Big. We want to know what our community's KK, what do they care about? What are their hopes and dreams for the next 20 years? How do they want their community to look and to feel? So we're asking, please, that you submit an essay, a poem, or a song, a painting or a drawing, a digital piece or a video, a digital art piece or a video, photography, or a choreographed dance. Accepting now through this Friday. Please, for everybody who submits a piece of artwork of some sort, you will be entered for a drawing for $10 gift certificates from Maui Sweet Shop in Kihei. So big mahalo to Maui Sweet Shop. Okay, without further ado, let's get on with it, as they say. Our first speaker is Lauren Armstrong. Lauren is the Executive Director of the Maui Metropolitan Planning Organization. And as a reminder to everybody watching, please put your questions together. We're going to ask all questions at the end of our 4 presentations. So Lauren, thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Aloha, I'm Lauren Armstrong. I'm here to share some of our transportation projects that Maui MPO and our partners are working on towards our shared multimodal future. And next slide, please. Oops. Sorry, I'm in full screen here.
I can't hear you, Lauren. I don't know if folks are working on that right now, your audio.
Sorry about the audio. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Lauren.
Okay, we'll keep going then. Hele Mai Maui. This is our 20-year plan for multimodal transportation. It identifies projects for the island of Maui that plan to use federal funding or that are regionally significant. So really the big projects that are connecting our major town areas. The goals in the Hele Mai Maui plan that we developed along with the community are safety, sustainability, resilience, quality of life, mobility options, and system preservation. Some of the key projects in South Maui, you can see on the map here, we have improvements to South Kihei Road, a lot of intersection safety improvements, transit service, so the Maui Bus, including a new transit hub and also expanded service, and also some new roads like the Kihei North-South Collector Road. So the Hele Mai Maui plan includes a priority. So basically if it's a near, medium, or long term, going all the way through the year 2040. It also includes cost estimates, which help us plan ahead for our federal funding. Next. So the TIP is the Transportation Improvement Program. This is our near-term implementation of Hele Mai Maui projects. So right now, Maui MPO is working on our 2022 to 2025 TIP. And so in the draft, which will be out for public review in June, projects are organized by county or state, depending which agency is going to implement the project. And they're organized by program type. So a lot of them you'll see are system preservation, really taking care of what we have. Mitigating congestion, so that's a lot of the intersection improvements. Enhancement, which really focuses on multimodal transportation like biking, walking, and then modernization and safety. Next. So the North-South Collector Road is a very important project. This would provide an alternative route within Kihei. The next phase is programmed in the Transportation Improvement Program for federal funds. As it's currently programmed, the project would use all of Maui County's federal highway funding for 2 whole years, which means that other critical projects across the island would be delayed. So for this reason, the MPO and the county are planning to apply for a federal grant to assist with the completion of this major and important project. Next. Oops. So Vision Zero is a goal to eliminate traffic deaths and serious injuries. So with the support of our mayor and council, Maui MPO has put together the Vision Zero action plan. We spent around a year analyzing crash data from the past 5 years and also collecting a lot of public input about what are the most dangerous aspects of our roads. Some key factors in a lot of the crashes were impaired driving, speeding, and distracted driving. The actions in the plan include policies to address these issues, address impaired driving, campaigns to promote a safety culture, and also really important, building safe streets for everyone. So all of the roundabouts, bike paths, sidewalks, things that we see funded through federal programs, as well as the county and state, those are really critical to providing a safe environment for everyone to move around. The next step for the action plan is to go to our county council in May, and we are hoping for approval of the plan at that time. Next. So quick build projects are a low-cost collaborative way to try out some of our new complete streets ideas, and really a way to activate public spaces with art. Our most recent project was funded by State Department of Health. It was completed in a partnership with Maui MPO, Heal Coalition, and Maui County with our local artist, Matthew Agkolikal, and a lot of work with the Lihikai Elementary School. The project included safer parking and crossings that make it easier for kids to walk to school. We are planning to do a project in South Maui or West Maui next. And so I would encourage anyone who's interested in getting involved with these type of projects to please contact me. My email will be included at the end of the presentation. Next. And so just a note on, the really important connection between transportation and public health. So active transportation, like walking and biking, is a really important way to reduce health issues like heart disease, diabetes, and also to really help us live happy, healthy lives. We know our current generation of kids is the first with a projected lifespan that's shorter than their parents. So this really hits home for me. We really owe it to our kids to build some infrastructure that safely supports all modes of transportation. So we're really lucky to have, the speakers who will follow me. They're working really hard to implement projects and programs that really move us toward this, shared future. And with that, we'll go to the final slide and say thank you, and encourage anyone with questions. If you don't get a chance to ask tonight, please follow up with me by email or phone, and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Great.
We'll go to the final slide and say thank you. And
thanks, Lauren.
encourage anyone with questions. If you don't
I have a little bit of a delay.
Please follow up with me.
So I'm having audio problems. But our next speaker is Nolly, Yagin, from Department of Public Works. Nolly's a senior transportation engineer, and he will speak to us about the county's role in planned improvements for pedestrian and bike facilities, the North-South Collector Road plans and programs, and other transportation network and improvements. Thanks, Nolly.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Nolly again. I'm with the Department of Public Works, and just wanted to go over some of our current and actually just completed projects. Let me see. I might need to be enabled to share a screen. Okay, got it. Okay. This works. Okay, so our first project that I wanted to go over was is our Kihei sub-area transportation study. It's a sub-area study which supplements long-range planning. More so, it supplements the Federal Aid Highways 2035 transportation plan that was recently completed by the State Department of Transportation. It's our first multimodal transportation plan, meaning it looks at the different modes or ways that people get around, like walking, biking, riding a bus, yeah, and all of those other modes in addition to driving. It was a collaboration of various departments, county departments. The State Department of Transportation and Federal Highway did provide us with some advisory capacity as well. In this study, approximately 80 projects were identified. And in addition to evaluating projects using typical criteria like safety, congestion, or cost, we even looked at factors such as a project's effects to the natural environment and even cultural sensitivity. Priority projects in the plan range from small projects such as pedestrian crossings, and even identified large projects such as the North-South Collector, like Lauren discussed this earlier. Other projects that we continue to work on are our safety program, especially in the area of pedestrian and bicycle safety. Our last major sidewalk project was one that completed the sidewalk between Kamole Beach Park, Phase 3, and completed the sidewalk all the way to Kilahana Drive. So now if you walk in Kihei, there's a continuous sidewalk from Piʻilani Avenue all the way into Makena. And so with that, we're looking to make our way north of Piʻilani Avenue. And our target is to actually complete the sidewalks from Piʻilani all the way to the old Suda store and a little bit beyond, so that you can walk all the way down to Sugar Beach. Currently, we have 2 projects that are going through permitting right now. And these are the South Kihei Road sidewalks and the Ohukai Road sidewalks. So with these projects, we'll have sidewalks on Ohukai Road between South Kihei Road and Piʻilani Highway. And on South Kihei Road, we'll have a continuous network all the way to Kulani Hakoi and a little bit beyond, almost to Kaono'ulu Street, actually. And in addition to those projects, we're always on the lookout for ways we can include sidewalk and bicycle facility improvements with maintenance projects, development projects, and other ways that we can. The next slide shows the rectangular rapid flashing beacons. If you've been around Kihei, you've seen all the flashing lights on South Kihei Road or even Piʻilani Avenue at the roundabout. So we have currently 7 locations that we're evaluating in Kihei. A little background on this. Our first installation was back in 2012 with the Piʻilani Liloa roundabout. Even before then, we've experimented with other ways of enhancing crosswalks. We've experimented with pavement lighting, which were a little unreliable. But in 2009, we did apply to Federal Highway for approval to experiment with the RRFB, and since then, since our first installation, they've grown really popular and they're now requested. We've experimented with pavement lighting, which were a little unreliable.
Hey, Nolly.
Yes, but in 2009 we did
Nolly?
apply to Federal Highway for approval to experiment with the RRF.
Nolly?
Yes, Pam. Since our first installation, they've grown really popular and they're now requested. We've experimented with pavement lighting.
We just wanted you to speak up. A lot of folks are having a difficult time hearing you. If you could speak louder.
Okay, got it. So another project that we're looking at to get off the ground this year is our modernization project. And so these will upgrade the controllers at all of the traffic signals in South Maui. If you look at the photo, if you can see the photo, the top 2 pictures are actually what our current controller sets look like. I guess interestingly enough, these pictures that I used in this slide were taken from eBay, which is selling one of the controllers as a collector's item. And the other one is actually from a site called Traffic Signal Museum. And so if you ever want one, you can spend up to about $15 to $60 and get one for yourself. What we're hoping to do is upgrade our controllers so that they're more ready for the future. One of the options that this will allow us to do is to prioritize bus service, which is something that people are looking for more of. We're also looking to improve our detection. Currently, vehicles are detected using loops in the pavement. And what the difficulty in that is that sometimes they don't detect motorcycles or even bicycles. And so we're looking to improve the detection as well using radar. The lower picture in the slide actually shows circled an installation that we have in Wailuku, in which that white little unit that's attached to the mast arm is actually a detector. And our large project, and the large project that we're working on is the Liloa Drive extension or North-South Collector Road. Currently, we're going into environmental permitting. We've begun our outreach with the first meeting with the property owners that abut the project site. And if you're familiar with Kihei, you've probably seen by now the greenway and roadway below the Safeway in Kihei. And so we're looking to continue that bikeway north towards Kulani Hakoi in 2024 and continuing on to Ka'ono'ulu in future years. The slides show, the top left photo shows us typically what you would see in the new section. So bikeway and bikeway, furniture, and the roadway. And the top right shows a conceptual of a roundabout at Piʻilani and Liloa Drive. The larger photo at the bottom shows a section of what that roadway will most likely look like. So that's it from the county side for South Maui. If you have any questions, you can always email me or call me at the number and the email address below, and we'll have that information available for you to later. Okay, thank you. And so I'll pass it back to Pam.
Okay, great. I'm assuming, Nolly, you're done. Having some technical issues on my end. Thank you. Thanks so much. Our next speaker is going to be about Maui Bus, public transit, and that is going to be Marc Takamori. And Marc is the director of the County of Maui Department of Transportation. So Marc will speak to future improvements planned for the overall bus system, ridership, routes, expansions, electric bus, shuttles, and the need to locate a transit hub in South Maui. So Marc, are you ready? Awesome. Thanks, Marc.
Yep. Thank you, Pam. Let me share my screen. Go. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Marc Takamori, County Department of Transportation. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. So a little bit about our department is we oversee the Maui Bus system. So our Maui Bus fixed route, we currently contract out our service for fixed route service to Roberts, Hawaii. The fixed route system is typically comprised of 14 daily routes with 18 fixed route vehicles on the road at any given time. The current concept of our fixed route system is a hub and spoke system. It's a system of connections arranged like a chariot wheel in which all traffic moves along the spokes connected to a hub at the center. Since our head times are on average an hour, this configuration helps riders transfer from one route to another at the transit hub. Back in back when Maui Bus started, we saw our boardings at fiscal year 2007 at a little over 774,000. In 2012, we peaked up to 2.5 million boardings. And as of the ending of fiscal year 2020, we ended a little over 1.3 million boardings. Usually we see ridership growth when the economy is weak and gas prices are high. We did see a decrease in ridership in 2020 due to COVID, as well as in our current fiscal year, we have seen a reduction in ridership as well. So specifically for South Maui, with regards to our Maui Bus fixed route system, there are two routes that provides main service to South Maui and within South Maui. They are the Kihei Islander that travels from Kahului through Maui Veterans Highway to North Kihei through all the way down to Wailea and back, and that is on our hourly headway. The other route is the Kihei Villager route that travels from Piʻilani Village Shopping Center through North Kihei to Ma'alaya and back. And this bus allows for transfers from Kihei onto the Lahaina Islander routes heading to Lahaina or into Wailuku at our Ma'alaya bus stop. Due to COVID, however, the Kihei Villager route has been suspended, but will most likely be reinstated in the upcoming new fiscal year. So these are just some numbers you can see from fiscal year 19, what our typical ridership was like pre-COVID, and then as we were leading into COVID in fiscal year 2020, you can see that the numbers starting from March and on started to reduce, as well as Kihei Villager. You can see that we had no boardings since it was, I believe in April is when we suspended the Kihei Villager route. In our 2016 Maui Short Range Transit Plan, their recommended route expansion and modifications are as follows on this provided map. The Kihei Islander would essentially remain the same, but perhaps provide later hourly service. The current Kihei Villager route, number 15, that travels from Piʻilani Village Shopping Center through North Kihei to Malaya, is recommended to have a route modification to service residential subdivisions on the north side of Piʻilani Highway up Kaiwahine Street and along Kenoleo Road. This route would eventually take if the modification moves forward with it, it would eventually take the north-south collector road, providing services mid Kihei between South Kihei Road and Piʻilani Highway. The plan also proposes a new Kihei Villager route 15B, and that would be the blue route on the map, and that would provide services from Kihei or Piʻilani Village Shopping Center through South Kihei along the internal north-south collector roads south, I guess, of Piʻilani Village Shopping Center, and would essentially also provide services in the lower part of Maui Meadows, ending in Wailea and then returning back en route. So right now, if you reside near Piʻilani Highway or in Maui Meadows, you would need to walk down to South Kihei Road to catch the Kihei Islander bus. This would provide additional services nearby. So any of the black dots that you see on the map are existing stops, and any of the white dots you see on the map are proposed new stops, not necessarily in those locations, but just giving you an idea of where the consultants believe that would best provide additional stops. The County Department of Transportation also contracts out our Maui Bus commuter service to Roberts, Hawaii. There are typically 4 routes with 7 buses total, with most of the routes servicing the central Maui area out to West Maui. The commuter service provides morning transportation from upcountry in the central Maui area out to the resort hotel areas with afternoon service in return. So just a little bit of boarding numbers. You can see that fiscal year 19, we saw a little over 176,000 boardings. And then with fiscal year 2020, we ended with a little over 131,000 boardings for commuter service. Again, most of our riders using the commuter service are people who work in the hospitality industry at the various hotels and resorts. However, anyone is able to use the system as long as they are a fair paying rider. 6 out of the 7 buses in our commuter program brings workers into West Maui in the morning, brings them back out in the afternoon. There are 2 runs that service Kihei. One starts in Haiku, stops at War Memorial Stadium, and then continues out to Kihei, ending in Wailea. And the other starts in South Kihei, travels north on South Kihei through North Kihei, and then continues to West Maui. So those are pretty much that run takes people from Kihei out to West Maui for work and then brings them back in the afternoon. And then these are just some of the numbers, fiscal year 19 and fiscal year 20 with regards to those 2 runs. As of right now, those 2 runs providing services to Kihei and out of Kihei for commuter are suspended. We have, out of 7 runs, we are currently running 3 of those runs. Most likely in the upcoming fiscal year, more will be reinstated. We're continuously looking at how the ridership is going. So when it comes to adding additional services within South Maui, transit hubs are something to consider. As previously mentioned, our system is set up as a hub and spoke system, so it's all about timing and being able to make transfers. So depending on where future transit hubs may be located, we need to keep in mind if routes are built, if the routes that are built are allowed for to make the hourly round trip time. So extra time should always be incorporated into the routes due to traffic, etc. There have been discussions that the development slated on Piʻikea Avenue would have bus pullouts to allow for, I guess, a small transit hub for transfers. As of right now, our current area that we use for transfers between the Kihei Islander and Kihei Villager would be at Piʻilani Village Shopping Center. And that space right there is a little limited. And then I borrowed this survey results from the Maui MPO and their community engagement on the update of their Maui Long Range Transportation Plan. So these are just some different comments that were made with regards to the Maui Bus. 51% would say that the Maui Bus would be better if the bus came more often. 49% says better bus shelters. 38% says early and later times, and so on. So in the Maui Bus system, there's a little over 200 bus stops. With regards to South Maui, there are 39 bus stops in South Maui spanning from Ma'alaya all the way to Wailea. And out of the 39 stops, there are 13 stops that have bus stop shelters. So these are just the upper right and the bottom left are images of bus stop shelters along South Kihei Road. So just some things to consider when it comes to new routes. It's easier to add new routes when providing services when they're interconnected subdivisions. The subdivisions are built where there's through streets versus cul-de-sacs, and then also having sidewalks, bike paths, and street lighting so that it allows for a more walkable community so that people can walk to the nearest bus stop and use public transit. Higher frequency for our Maui Bus system, earlier, later hours, new transit hubs, new park and rides, new bus stops with shelters and bus stop improvements, and additional funding sources. I guess one of the things that we are also considering for our department is moving towards electric buses. We one of the challenges that comes with electric buses is the charging infrastructure. And so we're working through those challenges right now. But in the interim, we'll be getting hybrid electric range buses, which means that the buses would have a battery pack on the bus. We would be able to set up green zones on these buses that we're ordering, where in the green zone, the engine will kick off and then the bus will be able to run on battery for a little bit. And then out of the green zone, then the bus engine will kick back on. So that's kind of what we're doing in the interim to move towards a full electric fleet eventually. So just some things also to think about too is that as of right now, from a funding source, we're funded through the general fund, the highway fund, as well as funds from the Federal Transit Administration. And this is my contact information. We will be relocating our office from the Wailuku campus to the new Maui County Service Center off of Ho'okele Street next week. And so come check us out if you have any questions. That's it.
Nice job, Mark. You lucky dog. You get the new building. Good for you. Okay, our final speaker is Hawaii Department of Transportation. And we were supposed to have Ed Sniffen, and he just got called into a meeting with the governor. But we have Robin Shishido, who has been absolutely fantastic to work with. And Robin is the Maui district engineer. So our final speaker, and then we'll get to your questions, is Robin Shishido. And while we're waiting for Robin to get up, I just want to let you folks know that we will have all PowerPoints posted to the website. Hopefully I have an answer on when that'll occur, as well as this recording. I know a lot of folks have been asking about that on the stream. So enough of that. And Robin, good luck. And thank you so much for filling in for Ed.
Good evening, everybody. Again, as Pam mentioned, I'm Robin Shishido with the State DOT here on Maui. So today I'll give an update on some of our construction projects and upcoming projects. So right now we have 3 projects on Piʻilani Highway. The first one is a highway safety improvement project. So this one, replaced the striping and the pavement markings, upgraded some of the guardrails with the end treatments and did some repairs, and also replaced the signs. And also at Maui Place, right on Piʻilani Highway, that's the only uncontrolled crosswalk that we have on this highway. So we added some additional signage and markings to better identify that crossing. This project's about 80% complete, and we expect it to be completed mostly by the end of May. Unfortunately, this project, it got started right in the beginning of summer of 2020, so kind of in the middle as the pandemic started, so it caused a lot of delay, and we had hoped it would have been completed sooner. The next project we have is Piʻilani Highway improvements at Kulani Hakoi. So this project, we'll be putting in a temporary traffic signal at the intersection of where the new high school will be. And again, this project also started right in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, so we've had some delays. But it's about 70% complete and should be done by about mid-June. The last project we have ongoing right now is Kula Highway and Piʻilani Highway guardrail and shoulder improvements. So this project just got started about a week ago, and it's going to be adding a new guardrail on the Makai side of the highway between Uapu and Lipoa. So this one will, add more protection to the residents on the Makai side of the road. Just add another if there's any cars that go off track. So that's kind of the construction projects we have right now. As far as an upcoming project, so one that I think a lot of people have probably heard is the ultimate intersection at the Kihei High School, which will be a roundabout. So this will be a 2-lane roundabout right there at, again, Kulani Hakoi and the entrance to the high school. So, this is going to be the first 2-lane roundabout on the state system. So it's going to be the first here for everybody. County of Maui already has 2 roundabouts on their system, and I think it's been working great. So look forward to having this one. So design is ongoing. It's about 90% complete, and anticipate construction starting here in the next few months. So with that, I just want to take the opportunity to show a little bit about the roundabout. So here's a layout on what it's going to look like. Again, it's going to be a 2-lane roundabout. So we still have the 2 lanes going north and south, and 1 lane each direction going in the east and west direction. I know a lot of people have been asking, how they're going to navigate through the roundabout. So, if you're heading you're going northbound, in this direction, there is a right turn lane that, you won't have to enter the roundabout if you want to go into the high school. So that's, where you would enter into. If you want to continue going north, you can be in either of the lanes and you'll, go around the roundabout. But if you want to turn west onto Piʻilani Highway, then you'll be on the inside lane, and that will allow you to go around the round and continue down Piʻilani Highway. So similar, if you're going southbound, there's going to be a right turn auxiliary lane. So if you want to turn down Piʻilani Highway, you don't have to go through the roundabout. Again, if you just want to continue south, you can use either of the lanes through the roundabout. And if you want to go up to the high school, then you would use the inside lane to be able to turn east. If you headed in the eastbound direction, here we have, again, a right turn auxiliary lane, so you don't have to enter into the roundabout. If you wanted to go east or north, then you would stay in the roundabout and go either direction. Same here, if you wanted to, go westbound, stay in the right lane to go into a right turn to head north, or you stay within the roundabout to either go down Piʻilani Highway or head south down towards Wailea side. So as far as bicyclists and how they're gonna be able to use the roundabout. So if you're headed, just one example, if you're headed southbound, you can stay within the lane and enter the roundabout as any user would, and use the lanes that's through the roundabout. Or you could also dismount your bicycle and use a sidewalk and go across the crosswalk as a pedestrian would. And going either if you want to go up to the high school or head further south again. And as far as pedestrians, who want to access the high school, so from Piʻilani Highway, there's crosswalks going across Piʻilani Highway, but to get across the highway, you'll have a rapid flashing beacons here to warn the drivers that there's a pedestrian coming. You'll have a refuge area here, and with more rapid flashing beacon actuators over here, so you can get across the highway, and then get onto the sidewalks and enter the school. So that's the big major projects that I had wanted to just talk about. There is some other developer projects that are coming along, and those are based on when developments come in. One of them was putting in a traffic signal at Okalani Drive. So those just again depend on timing of developers. So that's kind of the big project we had here for South Maui. And again, as Pam mentioned, I was filling in for Ed, so I didn't put in my contact information, but I'm here in the Maui office if anybody wants to give me a call or stop by. So that's all I had. I guess I'll turn it over back to Pam.
Great. Thanks so much, Robin. And thanks especially for that last minute fill in. Great job. So at this point, we're going to switch over to questions. We've got lists and questions prepared. So I'm going to toss the first question to Lauren Armstrong from the Maui MPO. And the question is, if federal infrastructure plan, I guess they're talking about, there's been a lot of discussion about federal infrastructure monies and funding being available. If it actually comes to fruition and Maui gets funding, can planned projects such as the North-South Collector Road be built sooner?
That's a great question. Thank you, Pam. So Maui MPO is going to be tracking the federal infrastructure bill closely, and also working with our partners at State DOT to understand how that federal money will be distributed to the islands. And so the really important factor is that the projects are ready for construction. the great work that Nolly and the other engineers at County of Maui are doing to get the projects through public engagement, environmental review, all the permitting. That really determines the project schedule. So having federal funds programmed in our transportation improvement program means that they're committed. And the TIP is updated twice a year and more frequently if needed. So if a project becomes ready sooner, we can allocate funds sooner. And especially if there are additional funds coming from the federal level, there needs to be a 20% local match for our current funding. We don't know about future stimulus funding, but generally, yes, but we need the capacity to deliver the projects.
Okay, there we go, back. Great, so the next question I'm gonna toss over to Nolly. And that is, are there plans to make South Kihei Road one-way?
No, there aren't any plans to turn South Kihei Road or any of the sections into one-way. It's been discussed before. People have brought it up for certain sections, but at this time, no, there aren't any current plans to do so. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Nolly. Marc, Takamori, we got a question, and folks are asking if Maui Bus might have a route run down to McKenna.
Yeah, thank you, Pam. So per our 2016 Maui Short Range Transit Plan, there aren't any plans to have any routes expand past Wailea, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. I know that we're on the verge of relooking at our short range transit plan and doing an update on that. So I guess if there's any, I'm sure there's going to be a comment period on that and soliciting feedback. And so knowing that, there are people asking for services past Wailea, I think that, that would be taken into consideration, put into the next plan.
Awesome. Thanks, Marc. Okay, I'll throw one over to you, Robin. We've got quite a few questions. Let's start with, and if you spoke to it, I'm sorry, I was frantically trying to pull questions together during your presentation, but can you speak to the status of widening Piʻilani Highway to 4 lanes, or did you cover that? Sorry, we have a couple people asking that question.
Sure. So, I mean, Piʻilani Highway is, it's busy, it's congested, but right now for us, it's not one of our priorities. I mean, among the many that we have, no funding available. But, there was at one time, with the developer coming in, that was one of their land use condition requirements was widen Piʻilani Highway. And, I think back in 2010, 2012 or so, there were 3 developers that, because of all of their fair share and regional improvements needed, they were going to widen Piʻilani Highway, but unfortunately that kind of tri-party proposal fell apart, and so each developer is going on its own and taking care of their own improvements. So as of right now, I mean, yeah, there isn't a plan or a project to widen the remainder of Piʻilani.
So since we're talking about this, because somebody else asked that particular question, I'm glad you brought it up with regard to them remembering promises being made about no future development until the highway was widened. I cannot speak on behalf of the planning department, but I will absolutely see if I can get an answer from our perspective. I feel like you kind of answered it from HDOT. So if there are questions, folks, that we can't answer right now, we will get an answer and put it back and post it on the website. With regard to Piʻilani Highway, Robin, I don't know if you can also speak to intersection improvements along Piʻilani Highway, if there's any plans to make those safer or improve those. That was another question.
Okay. So again, with the high school, the roundabout, is what we're designing. So that one, provide, slower speed vehicles, in Lauren's presentation, she showed that, when vehicles are traveling a lot slower and if there's any accidents, there's a lot better chance of survival. So that's for that intersection. And then, let me think. so Okalani, that one's going to get a traffic signal, and that one was land use conditioned by for one of the developers. So that's the 2 intersection improvements that are coming up. There is a, so I know Lipoa and Piʻilani, when the charter school opened up, there was a lot of concern because there are a lot of kids that were crossing the highway right when it lets out between 2 to 2:30. I think they have 3 bells. And so when school was in full session, Maui Police Department would help the kids and assist them in crossing. So we have been working with them, and within the next few weeks, we're going to be changing up the controller there, and we're going to install a scramble button for Maui Police Department that when the kids crossing, it will put the traffic signal in an all red or all red condition. So traffic will be stopped in all 4 directions, and the kids can safely cross. And what MPD will do is try to hold the kids so they can all cross at once and not cause delay with traffic. So that's what's coming up.
Awesome. Thanks, Robin. That was another question that folks asked about the rectangular flashers. Lauren, I'm going to grab you before you have to go. Person asked, will there be a clear separation between the bike paths and sidewalks? The Laloa Avenue bike path sidewalk sharing they feel is hazardous. Can you speak to any of that? Or Nolly?
I could start with maybe a general comment on multi-use path design. So given, a 10 to 12 foot wide path, there is space for both bicyclists and pedestrians to share the path. In some places, they've used really good markings to delineate the space for people walking versus biking. So that's something that maybe our engineering could consider moving forward. Nolly, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, so whenever we do designs for bikeways, bike paths, we do try to provide some separation from travel lanes. And the reason for that is not just the safety aspect, but the comfort aspect. And so whenever there's room, that's something we'll always try to do.
Okay, great. Nolly, I got a question for you, another one. And that is, what are the plans for Hai'ilimai Road and Kihei Bypass? I don't know if anyone else can, that's basically what that's what's typed in front of me. Does any of that ring a bell?
Maybe that's something I'll throw at Robin, possibly.
So what was that, the Kihei from? Was the limits you said, Pam, Hai'ilimai?
Yeah, it looks like that, Hai'ilimai Road.
Okay.
Bypass.
Yeah, so I think at one time, and this was, I don't know how long ago, maybe 10 years ago, there was something, Kihei Upcountry Connector Road. And, I think it was moving forward, but, with funding constraints and everything, that I think kind of stopped and hasn't moved forward at all.
Okay, thanks, Robin. All right, so Marc, let me toss you one. Will the bus go to the police station? Which folks are saying, we've had a lot of questions about the police station regarding intersection safety, getting to the police station across Piʻilani Ave, if anyone wants to hire that. But for now, Marc, are there plans to have the bus go to the police station, which right now is not currently safely reachable by pedestrians?
Yeah, thank you, Pam. So I guess that we don't have any plans for the Kihei police station. Not to say that that couldn't be a future stop. I guess that's the first time I've heard for a request to have a bus stop going to the Kihei police station. So something for us to note for the future.
And while I've got you, just quickly, we've had a lot of these questions I've seen, and that is folks kind of wondering, and we're wondering if you might know as to why ridership has dropped significantly. A lot of people are kind of pondering and wondering why the ridership has dropped. If you guys have ideas about that.
So a lot of the ridership started to drop off during when Maui started to shut down. So in March of 2020 and then April, we really saw a big drop. And so we started to pull back our services and reduce it. We even suspended routes. It has a lot to do with the fact that we are letting the riders know that if you don't have to ride public transit during this time, to please limit your usage, for essential travel only. So that we have a lot of riders that used to just kind of ride it around for fun. We try to discourage that at this point, just so that if they do have to use it, then they're not filling up the bus with just riding around. So because of COVID, we're asking people not to ride it just for fun, but for essential travel only. And then as well as a lot of tourists within the South Maui and West Maui, we've seen a huge decrease because the community is built on a linear route. So it's easy to use public transit in South Maui, West Maui, because if you're heading south, you stand on one side of the road, you're gonna go south. You stand on the other side, you're gonna go north. So it's very simple to use. And so a lot of people that are visiting use our services. And because of the reduction in visitors during that time, we saw a decrease as well in terms of ridership. But with the return of visitors starting to come back, we are starting to see buses during certain times of the day fill up, where we are getting emails and calls saying that the buses are full.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Mark. Another quick question to you, Robin, about Piʻilani Highway. Folks are asking if there are any plans to widen the Piʻilani Highway bridges.
Not right now. We don't have anything wide. And I know it's one of the pinch points, I think, when it comes to, having a shared use shoulder or, making it different across, but not at this time.
Okay, great. Thank you. So one question for anybody, maybe Lauren, if you want to swipe at it before you go. Folks are asking, will future crosswalks have touchless buttons? COVID showed us the need for that. If anybody has any thoughts on that.
I think Nolly would have a more current information on that.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Lauren.
I can jump in on that. So we have been looking at touchless devices. Right now we have two possibilities. Basically what we would need to do is just coordinate with those vendors and see if we can test out those devices. So yeah, we're looking at them right now.
Awesome. So regarding devices, another question that somebody has posted is asking about the cameras. They're basically asking regarding the cameras, what happens to the data? Who owns the data and how is it secured?
So I guess this is Robin. So I know on some of our roads, we do have cameras that we use for detection and or monitoring, but those are just feeds. It's not recorded. And, the images are captured and it goes on our Go Akamai site, but no storage of the data, stuff like that.
Okay, thanks, Robin. Back to you, Nolly. So are there plans to reduce the speed limit on South Kihei Road for safety?
At this time, there aren't any plans. By code, the South Kihei Road is set at 30 miles per hour. When we took data, it seems that 85% of the drivers are in that range, and so we feel that it's a responsible speed. If there is a need to slow it down, then we'll work with MPD to pick out those locations and maybe evaluate it a little more.
Okay. Thanks, Nolly. For Marc Takamori, has any consideration been given for small shuttle jitneys along South Kihei Road at any point, possibly utilizing shuttles?
Well, when you say jitney, what
I know that is an East Coast term. Sounds like Southern food. It's not. Let's think just a small shuttle. I know it was sometimes we've seen golf carts or just different larger type of things, but any other alternative in terms of maybe that would offer more frequency with not necessarily a big bus, but just a smaller type of shuttle, something like that.
I think that is something that we would like to consider. I think there's been discussions where if we can create a route that uses smaller buses that can get into smaller areas and still provide services, I think that's something that we would like to consider, because we definitely want to see our ridership grow. And if that's a service that we can provide, then that's something that we should be considering.
Awesome. And another question I was thinking of, and we had this question posed in West Maui, and that is any consideration with regard to shuttles going to the airport. I know a lot of residents would like to see that. I'm sure visitors always do, but that question we get asked a lot about, any consideration for airport shuttling.
I think there's been a lot of requests and discussion on it, and I know that Mayor also is wanting to see something happen as well. So I think that's something that would be happening in the future for sure. Just probably not within the next fiscal year or so.
Okay. Quick question for Robin. One of our listeners wanted to know if the road from Kihei to Upcountry route is cast in stone, or is it still open to discussion?
Again, that project, was, I think, within our plans maybe 10 years or so ago, but, our capacity program, we kind of really reduced it, with, funding constraints. So right now there's nothing in, our long-term plan for that road.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Robin. Nolly. So with regard to you addressing how to improve the flow on South Kihei Road, will modernization that Nolly addressed improve the flow on South Kihei Road at Azeka with 3 consecutive traffic signals? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so that's a difficult area, but the controllers that we're looking at, they will have the capability of to better coordinate the signals. One feature that we do want to look at in this area is what they call adaptive control. So basically what it is it's a controller and system that sort of reads what traffic is like and adjust the timing based on what comes in and what goes out. And so we're hoping that those technologies will be able to help the flow in that area as well.
Okay, awesome. And just one more with regard to pedestrian safety. One of our listeners wanted to know if it would be possible to get flashing lights at the pedestrian crosswalk, South Kihei Road in Kanani across from Cove Park. Do you guys have any plans for that?
We have 7 locations. I can't recall all of them at not right now, but what I can do is I can look at our list, and if Kanani Street is not there, I can add it to our pending list.
Awesome, great, thanks, Nolly. Direct community input. Oh, another one for you, since you're on a roll. In the future, will sidewalks be required on both sides of the street? Will crosswalks be 4-way rather than 3-way?
So sidewalks, I forget the year, I think it was 2006, but we do require now sidewalks on both sides of the road when developments come in. It just makes sense. As far as 4-way, was a question about 4-way crosswalks?
Not quite, yeah, it says, will crosswalks be 4-way rather than 3-way? I don't know how you get a 3-way, but maybe that was the scramble question.
Yeah, perhaps that's a scramble question. We don't have any plans to institute a scramble type. Basically, scramble is when everybody crosses in one cycle. But yeah, but no, we don't have.
Okay, no, thanks, Nolly. All right, Robin. So with regard to the roundabout being built, will there be any sort of a temporary bypass, or what will be down along South Kihei Road, or how might traffic be dealt with during that period of time? We've had somebody write in that question.
Yeah, so our designer right now, they're looking at, phasing plans, but, we would have traffic open on Piʻilani Highway, at all times. And maybe at some points it might be 1 lane each way, but just any full closure of Piʻilani Highway. maybe an overnight at most to do some things, but yeah, Piʻilani still.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm going to try to read this one. I'm a little unclear. This is for Marc. One of our listeners wants to know if there will be bus service to Maui Meadows and out to McKenna State Park. Maybe that's a shuttle. Micro.
Yeah, thank you. I guess that Kihei Villager route number 15B, that recommended having service on the in Maui Meadows, but on the most lower, the most, I guess, southern part of the subdivision, on the lower part of the subdivision to provide services, and then come back out to Wailea. So again, there hasn't been any I guess us following the 2016 short-range transit plan, there hasn't been any recommendations for services past that, but I'm sure it's not, it's not set in stone. If the community is looking for future service past Wailea, then I can see, it's not set in stone. So it could still happen.
Okay, great. I've got another request to add to your list, Nolly, in terms of pedestrian flashing. Not pedestrians flashing, I mean the flashlight things. Can a crossing be installed on South Kihei Road at Keonakai Road? It's very busy pedestrian crossing, and it's one of the ones that has no flashing lights. So we can.
What street was that again?
South Keo and Keonakai Road. Keonakai Road.
Keonakai. Oh, okay, Keonakai. We do have it on our pending list actually, Keonakai. So yeah, so that is one of the locations where we're currently evaluating. And just to go back to that other question regarding Kanani Street, that is also on our pending list as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that same area, Nolly, somebody else asked a question with respect to the north-south collector road, saying it cannot go through the back of Keonakai villages. It stops there due to right-of-way access issues. What is the status of that? Can you provide an update?
Yeah, so right now, yeah, we're aware of basically the lack of right-of-way in the area. So right now, we do not have any plans on continuing it south of Keonakai Road. It is on the long-range plans, but right now it's not something that we're actively looking at.
Okay. Sort of a comment, kind of question from somebody for Robin regarding today's Planning Commission meeting. At today's Planning Commission meeting, it was said by Ledcor, the developers, that a traffic light will be installed at Mikioi and Okolani and Piʻilani, but that will create more problems in Maui Meadows with backup cars when the light turns red. There's nowhere for cars to go. How can we get a roundabout there, please, instead?
So actually, when we look at intersections now, I mean, we ask everybody to evaluate roundabouts. So, that one's being put in by a developer. So we did ask them to look at one, but with the right away over there, they just couldn't make it fit and work. So right now it is a traffic signal that's going in there.
Okay, great. Okay, here's one with regard to pedestrians and bus stops, Marc. It says, what kind of safety integration between sidewalk usage and bus stop design and placement is planned? So I think maybe they're talking about with regard to a sidewalk, and when you put a bus stop in, there being some sort of a, so people can walk around the bus stop, I guess.
So yeah, so usually when we look at improving, I guess I can pull back a little bit. So in South Kihei, on South Kihei Road, there are sections that has no sidewalks at all. So Areas such as like Uwapo, Ohukai area, both sides of the street, I believe, in that area, there's no sidewalks. And so I know that per Nolly, Department of Public Works, that one of their projects is putting in sidewalks, connecting from North Kihei to South Kihei. And so one of the things we do is we go in and we make certain that at least we're putting a bus stop in an area where people have a safer area to wait for the bus. And so we try to come in, put in a concrete pad with a shelter where it's a safe place, it's lit, has trash receptacles, a bike rack, as well as just a area where the pedestrians and public transit riders are safe to wait. And if we are looking at going into an area that already has sidewalks, then we integrate our bus stop into connecting in with the sidewalk. There's a little challenge on South Kihei Road because there's certain areas that has a lot of county right-of-way for us to be able to put our bus stop shelter on the side of the road. But there are areas where there isn't enough county right-of-way where then we're limited to not being able to put a shelter in, because for us to put a shelter in from the edge of the road, we need 10 feet to go from the edge of the road towards over the sidewalk. So if there isn't 10 feet in from the road to the side of the road, then we're unable to put our shelter in. What happens is that when the bus comes and then the wheelchair ramp extends out, the ramp already extends onto the sidewalk, and then the person in the wheelchair then has to be able to ride down the ramp and then still maneuver on the concrete pad. So if it's too short, then they're not able to do so. And so there are challenges up and down South Kihei Road if the right-of-way is quite narrow. I hope that kind of answered.
No, that's a great explanation. That's a difficult question to answer and try to visualize. Thanks, Mark. Awesome job. Okay, I've got one for Nolly and maybe even Lauren as well. One of our folks asked, are there plans for the north-south collector road to reach Wailea?
I can jump in on that. So there aren't any plans for the north-south collector road to reach Wailea. As far as going south, there are plans to at least reach Auhana Road at this point. Then if you continue south of that, we run into a lot of right-of-way issues. So no, in short, going to Wailea, not our plans at this time.
Okay. Here's a question for you, Mark, regarding routes from the south to west side. Are there plans for a direct path or route from Wailea to Lahaina? It shouldn't take 2 hours. The hub is not working. Many routes now take longer than in the past. Are there plans to make routes more direct and quicker?
Yeah, thank you, Pam. That is a good question. We don't have a route as recommended in the short-range transit plan, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't happen. I understand that it is inconvenient to catch. Essentially, you would either have to catch Kihei Islander to transfer in Kahului to the Lahaina heading out to the west side, or you catch the Kihei Islander, you transfer onto the Kihei Villager, then you transfer onto the Lahaina Islander bus that heads out to West Maui. So what happens is that because we don't have the frequency, we're always running on an hour basis. Then if you miss a bus, you're basically waiting another hour. So I can see the request and the reason why there should be a bus that would go between West Maui and South Maui direct versus you having to transfer. So I'm not saying no. It could happen for sure.
Increasing ridership would help. We got to support you.
Yep.
So with regard to ridership and routes, Mark, one of the folks want to know, are there plans to offer later service times and also tourist buses, perhaps, so less cars and taking up parking spaces, tourist buses from hotels to beaches?
No, I think these are definitely all good questions and discussion points. Yeah, I think what's nice about public transit right now is that we have a really good support from our current council members, and so I believe that when we make the request for later hours of service, I believe that they could definitely support that, and so for sure, later hours of service is recommended in our short range transit plan. We have asked in the past, and we haven't gotten it. We haven't asked recently, just because we've been asked to keep budgets flat due to COVID.
Right.
But not necessarily in the future. We can definitely still ask, and hopefully we'll get the later hours of service. And in terms of additional routes, I think I'm not quite sure how. I mean, I guess you could say that one of the priorities, though, is for us to consider routes that would help or benefit the local community. So I'm not sure if we would move forward with I guess a tourist type of bus service, but I mean, you could also spin it that the tourist bus would alleviate I guess crowding on the regular route. So I mean, there's different ways of spinning it, but it's something to consider.
Yeah, and also perhaps maybe some of these hotels and resorts can provide that sort of transportation. I mean, I like the question in the sense that taking up less parking spaces so residents can actually use the beach.
Yep.
Robin, I have a speed limit question for you regarding Piʻilani Highway. Can the 30-mile-per-hour speed limit be changed? Nobody follows it, which makes it dangerous to drive that slow.
Yeah, so during the construction project, when initially the contractors were doing guardrails, so they would, put up construction zone in those localized areas. But as they moved to addressing the whole corridor, then, the whole Piʻilani Highway was made a construction zone, so the speed limit was reduced to 30. But as they're ramping up, then they're reducing their construction zone limits. So I believe already been put back to the original speed of 40 miles an hour.
Awesome. Thanks, Robin. All right, Nolly, I'm getting highlighted and screen screaming at me. Are there plans to make crosswalks on all four corners? Sometimes you have to cross 3 times to cross one street.
Okay.
I don't know. And I know that must, of course, depend on an actual location and so forth, but yeah, I've had to do that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. In the past, that seemed to be the standard of practice, where they would make like little what they call orphan ramps, I guess, where you would cross and then cross again. But with the complete streets movement, I guess I could call it, we try to make sure that all of the 4 corners do have a ramp, and that crossing is permitted on all legs. We'd only consider limiting the legs if there's operational issues or that sort of thing. So going forward, no, we'll always try to make four crossings at intersections.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Nolly. Okay, Marc, I've got one for you, and I'm gonna try to answer, ask you this question. Okay. Just before COVID hit, expansion of the route was set to run east-west along Ohukai and Kaibahini, as Marc mentioned. When the runs return, as he indicated, in the next fiscal year, will this include the east-west segment?
I didn't quite follow.
I'll try it again. No, it's a little convoluted. Okay, so just before COVID hit, the expansion of the route was set to run east-west along Ohukai and Kaibahini. When runs return, this is the part where I get thrown, as he indicated, in the next fiscal year, will this include this east-west segment?
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. So we've never actually implemented. So our Kihei Villager route was never implemented to provide services to Kaiwahine yet. And so there was discussion about it. I know that my deputy, Michael DuPont I'm not quite sure if he had a community meeting previously to talk about that route deviation or modification. I'm not quite sure where we are with that. And okay, now I understand. So basically they want to know is that when the Kihei Villager route gets reinstated, will that reinstatement go the different as proposed in the short-range transit plan? So I can tell you as of right now, the route would still be the same, because I believe that we would still want to have a community meeting with Kihei Community Association. I believe that's who Michael, my deputy, was working with. And so until we can have that discussion again, then we can consider making that change. So not initially, but it's still on the table.
Okay, awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. All right, so I've got a question, this could either be for, I suppose, probably Nolly, but if it's Piʻilani Highway, maybe Robin. Listener wants to know, what is the fastest way to get a pedestrian crossing signal fixed when it's broken? Currently, citizens have to figure out if it's county or state responsibility to get it fixed. But I mean, I guess just the short answer is, what's the best thing to do if they see a crosswalk signal or something's broken?
So for state, I mean, we can call our office number, which is 873-3535. And, the office clerks will notify our supervisors, and, they'll get a technician out there. I know the county has the C-Click fix, and sometimes we receive messages from them as well when we have outages.
Same deal with DPW, Nolly, calling DPW offices or the base yard, or what's the best way?
Yeah, so the best way is to actually call the Public Works Highways base yard. They're responsible for maintenance of our facilities. So I think the number is 270-7869, and so you can call them.
I won't give you a direct line. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding.
Oh, and I mean, another way is that you can call MPD's non-emergency lines. Off hours. We have somebody on standby, and we can get a technician there.
That's a great idea. That's an awesome idea. So HDOT with the numbers Robin gave, Department of Public Works, or MPB non-emergency, Maui Police Department. Great, thanks. Well, I think we just about hit our time. We have answered, I believe, just about every single question. I want to let folks know, first of all, before I thank folks, is that PowerPoints will be posted tomorrow. And this video is available basically right on Facebook right after we're done. So just want folks to know that. And that said, I'd really like to thank Lauren Armstrong, who unfortunately had to depart a little bit early, but Nolly again, Marc Takamori, and Robin Shishido. You guys did a great job. Thank you so much for your answers and your presentations. Really appreciate you guys taking the time. I'd also like to thank my amazing staff. They say many hands make light work. We don't have many hands. So I'm blessed to have incredibly talented staff. Very lucky. So Kate, Jen, Jamie, and Karen, awesome job. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on with getting these questions out and getting them answered. So I really appreciate that. Couple of plugs. First of all, please go to the website and check out the transportation and mobility paper that is available. It was posted last Friday. And I want to thank these gentlemen on the screen because they all provided great input, and really appreciate your time in doing that. Also, if you're 18 years or younger, get involved. Dream big. It's a phenomenal project, a great opportunity. So just please get involved. Parents, come on, crack the whip. And then finally, our vision workshop part 2. And also ends on Friday. Please take a look. These are 4 draft versions of visions. They're really well written, but everything can change, and we need to have them ranked and need your thoughts on this. And That said, my last huge big mahalo is Kate. Thank you so much for your sense of humor and amazing organizational skills. Well, other than that, mahalo everybody and aloha. Have a great night, everyone. Bye.